is going on, guys? So you saw in the last video we actually picked up a 2020 F250. We retired the F150, well, traded it in, and now we have an F250 6.7. This is a 2020, so I'm really excited. There's not a lot of stuff out for this, so we're going to be kind of testing it out, and we're going to be one of the first to try some of the stuff out. Today we have our very first mod for it, and that is an S&B cold air intake. Obviously this thing has a turbo, makes a lot of boost, but we don't really hear all that much turbo noise. So we're gonna increase that by going to an S&B cold air intake. So as of right now, there isn't much turbo noise. You get a little bit, but really not that much. So I'm hoping after, you know, the cold air intake, the turbo makes a lot of noise. So that is the goal here, and if we pick up some horsepower, then even better. So you can hear a little bit, but it's not overwhelming. So we definitely need to increase that turbo noise, and then it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's just too quiet. We need more turbo noise, then we'll be happy. Here's just some basic revs. We'll pull out here. Give it a little gas. So far, I have really been liking the F250. It's quick, it's got a lot of torque. I do want to go ahead and tune it, but we're gonna put this cold air intake on here. It solves the turbo noise, and it might even free up a little bit of horsepower. We are gonna be one of the first with this intake, so I'm super excited to get it on the truck. So let's go ahead and start the install. So right here we have our F250 Lariat 6.7. I love this truck so far. We've already put 1,600 miles on it towing, and it was awesome. But we have this factory intake right here, and this is gonna quiet down all the turbo noise that we wanna hear. So what we're gonna be doing is pulling this right here out and putting in the S&B cold air intake. So right here we have the whole kit, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at it. Do note that this is for a 2020. 2020 has some slight differences. I'm not positive, but I heard something about the batteries, but hopefully we can go ahead and get it installed. All right, so I just noticed this filter is absolutely massive. Look at that, that is crazy. We're gonna leave it in the plastic until we're ready, but there is the box itself. So I just want to point out this massive filter. All right, so here is everything that comes in the box. Looks like 2 clamps. There's also a clamp on the filter. Looks like that is a air induction adapter to the factory intake. We got some MAF gaskets. Looks like little brackets. Something right here for the filter. Doesn't look too complicated. Looks like a seal over there, so I'm ready to go ahead and get started. So obviously our first order of business is going to be to go ahead and just pull this factory air box, which, let's see how this goes. Well, that was pretty easy. We're also going to disconnect our MAF sensor. There is a little red tab right here, just like a lot of 4 different clips. That comes up. We're going to go ahead and take this little plastic clip off. Right, that moves over there. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this from here just for now. You could probably disconnect the intake all in one piece, but this looks like the easiest. There we go. Wow. Oh wow, yes, that is going to restrict a lot of turbo noise. So if you look at the stock paper filter, it has this big insulation, and that is all just to take out all the turbo noise that we want to hear. So there is one plastic tab right here on this that kind of sits in there like that. I went ahead and just used a flathead to pull that up and out. I'm going to pull this off to the side. I'm not sure if this gets reused or not, but we'll put it off to the side for now. Now let's figure out how to pull the intake box out, and we'll see if there's any bolts or anything like that. Alright, so there is one 7mm bolt holding the intake box in. We're going to go ahead and remove that. So the instructions state to go ahead and disconnect the negative battery on both terminals, and also, because this has two batteries, and also the positive on the passenger side. So we have that. We should have done that first, but we did it now, and we're gonna go ahead and get this box pulled out. So we're gonna want to go ahead and remove this intake line from there. Careful, it is hot. I guess it is a coolant line going into the turbo, so I guess that would be why that is hot. All right, and we should be able to go ahead and wiggle this loose and up and out of the car. And there's already some junk in there. There are two 13mm bolts we're gonna go ahead and remove on this bracket. Alright, and then this bracket should be loose. It is. Go ahead and pull that right on out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put in this little screen thing right here. Not too sure what the purpose of that is, but we got it. So we're going to use it. We got that. That goes like that. And we have just 3 Phillips head screws that go in these nice little holes right here. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. We can also go ahead and pop off the main intake pipe. You can use either an 8mm or 7mm, whatever the clamp is, or a nice flathead. Unless your flathead isn't gripping it, then just use the 8mm. In our case, the 7. Alright. And we should be able to see our turbo now. So, intake pipe off, and if we look down in this little hole, we can see a little turbo. Well, I think it's actually a pretty big turbo. So, I don't believe we will be needing anything off of this. Maybe. So, this bracket that's included, you use the factory hardware, and this is actually going to tuck right back in here. And that's what's going to hold up the air box from not moving around. So we're going to go ahead and get that bolted in right here. And so far so good. So we got that bracket in there. I believe that's the orientation it needs to be for the box. Now we'll kind of figure out the rest. All right, so we went ahead and just placed the box right in here. Fit in pretty nice, and then that bracket lines perfectly up. So we can go ahead and put these little bolts that are included right there. That's gonna make sure the box doesn't move around. All right, so the other OEM bolt goes right there, and we're gonna go ahead and tighten that. All right, so good old Florida did start raining on us, but the mass airflow sensor, we use a Torx. We're gonna go ahead and unbolt this right here. All right, so we got the mass airflow sensor swapped off of there. There is a gasket and a little spacer. It's pretty hard to screw it up because it only goes on one way. Make sure you get your airflow the right way if you start it up. the truck isn't happy, then you might have put your mass airflow sensor in wrong. We're pretty much almost ready to kind of stick that in there. There, we got the massive filter plopped in there. So we're almost ready to hear this thing. All right, and I think we're just about done. So this big filter, it kind of looks like a small filter, but it's actually pretty deep, which is interesting. So basically you just put the filter in here first, slide the intake tube in, it seals nicely around the seal right there. Got the coupler that's included. We also have the mass airflow sensor right there. It also has a little plastic clip so you can use the factory location. So I think we're ready to go ahead and put the shield on and start it up and hear what it sounds like. All right, so I think that's about it. We got this nice glass cover. So we also, I decided not to use the little plug on the side. This right here, I think is to block mud and water and all that stuff from going in. And it kind of just goes on the side here. I don't plan to really off-road it, so I'm gonna keep this off for now. My plan was pretty much, with that being open, you'll be able to hear a lot of the turbo noise right from there. Now overall, the kit looks pretty good. So I'll probably get some video of it tomorrow when it's light out, with some better sound clips, just like we did with the befores. But we should be good to start it right now. Just gotta hook up the battery cables. See if we hear anything on the cold start. Well, semi-hot start. I don't hear anything yet. We'll definitely go drive it. All right, so far with driving the cold air intake, you can definitely hear a lot more intake noise, especially at the passenger side window, because that's where the airbox is. So I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it on camera. I'm going to go back over to that spot where we recorded some before clips, but you can definitely hear the spool up a lot better. You hear the spool down too. You hear a high-pitched spool down. Alright, so the cold air intake obviously is sounding pretty good. I was expecting a little bit more turbo noise, and it's not as loud as I was expecting, considering, you know, the size of the turbos on these. But then again, I am a diesel noob, so obviously it's a closed box lid on top, but I left that side piece open. You know, we could try pulling the top lid just to see if it increases the turbo noise, but I don't think it will. Anyways, now, I was expecting more turbo noise and not really to gain much horsepower, but it does seem like the opposite. So it looks like the boost gauge on the truck is peaking higher, and it seems to carry the power up more. Now, if you looked at that paper filter that we removed, the paper filter looked quite restrictive. I mean, from what I know, turbos like to breathe, they like to pull in air, and that paper filter looked restrictive. I don't think we're really getting major gains in the pipe because it resembles the stock shape, and that's because the mass airflow sensor, we don't have a tune, so there's no tune required, but the box is significantly different, and I think that's where we're seeing the gains. And that makes sense, because if we increase the velocity of the air going into the turbo, it's possible to see higher boosts, because, you know, you have more air going in, it's less restrictive. So in theory, what I am experiencing makes sense. Try to keep it on the boost gauge here, but gotta love that torque of these 2020s, but it definitely seems to peak higher. We'll see if we can get a good pull in here. This truck is pretty quick for being a big truck. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see, if you guys have 2020s, from what I can see, it looked like the boost gauge now goes higher. We'll try it a few more times, but from what I can see and what I saw before doing the cold air intake, the boost gauge was, you know, probably about 3/4, and now it gets pretty close to pegging it out. So let's try it one more time. And you can hear the little bit of turbo noise. I don't know if it's gonna come through on camera, but hopefully we can get some outside footage and you guys can hear it a little bit better. So overall, I was obviously doing this mod so that I could hear a lot more turbo noise. It really does seem to solve one of the issues that I kind of have with the truck. The truck is very torquey and moves out right out of the hole. I mean, it's you can feel that torque, you know, the 1,050 foot-pounds of torque. So the truck is definitely torquey, but it did have a little bit of like the horsepower just kind of like falls off on the top, and then I really felt a difference. Even in the rain, it would spin tires, then stop spinning, shift, spin tires, stop spinning, shift. And then in the rain the other day, I put the cold air intake on and then I took it out for a drive and it just kept spinning the tires all the way to 50, 60 miles an hour, which was pretty funny. So overall, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, it's not too expensive and increases the turbo noise just a little bit, and I think it added some power. So obviously we're still stock tuned. The 2020s aren't able to be tuned remotely as of right this second, but that's going to be changing soon, and I definitely am going to be doing a tune on this. I definitely want some horsepower increases. The torque is pretty good. I think the torque is plenty enough. I want some trans changes because it kind of shifts a little funky, and I like a performance kind of shifting transmission, which sounds weird when I want to tow with it, but when I'm driving around, I want it to kind of bang some gears. And third, it needs to have a removed 95 mile an hour speed limiter. You know, it's just essential. 95 miles an hour is not enough. The truck definitely rips pretty good, especially for being as big as it is and all stock too. I mean, it's pretty funny. Oh man. I'm still on stock tune, which is the funny part. But just being how torquey it is just the fun part. And I wish I had an actual boost gauge, but the thing pretty much pegs out, so. Alright, so far with the S&B cold air intake, it's actually been a few days and I really like it. Not as much turbo noise as I was thinking, but we did get a performance gain, so I guess that is a win. Normally that's what we go for, but I was kind of trying to beat a ricer. I figured we get a lot of turbo noise, but we do have this nice closed box and we're not getting any heat soak. Obviously, stock tune still works because we still have a stock diameter mass airflow sensor right here, so there's no tuning required, which right now there is no tuning or handheld tuning for the 2020. Now, I do plan on tuning this when tuning is available for 2020, so through an Easy Link or SET or N-Gauge, whichever one of those is available. I do not want to send the PCM out for a bench flash right now. So overall, I've been loving the F250 so far. I'll probably make a video of a kind of like review the first 2,000 miles with the F250 because we already put 2,000 miles on it, which is crazy, but I absolutely love it. S&B cold air intake, if you want to pick one up, there's a link down in the description. So far, I think it sounds good and I'm pretty impressed with the power. We also did our first burnout, so yeah, I mean, we're going to be getting new wheels and tires anyways at some point. So anyways, make sure you slap the like button down below, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and we will see you guys in the next one.